The White House is considering detaining migrant families who cross the U.S. border illegally, according to the New York Times. Now, this comes as the Biden administration prepares for the end of the public health order Title 42, which allows agents to turn away certain migrants crossing the border. For all the details, let's bring in Yahoo Finance's Rick Newman. Hey, Rick.
Hey, this would actually be a return to the Trump-era policy, so Biden's getting some flack for this. But the problem is there's no good answer with regard to what to do to the migrant crisis on the southwest border. So on May 11th, the national emergency related to COVID is going to end, and that is going to change the ability of the Border Patrol to send people back over the border. Now, Biden has had a different policy in place, allowing some people to come across and settle with families or people they know in the country, but they're anticipating a surge of migrants starting around May 11th, so they have to do something about that. And they're floating this idea. This is not yet an actual confirmed policy, but they're floating this idea, I think, to figure out how much backlash are they going to get if they do actually go back to the Trump policy of turning people away at the border.
I mean, certainly an interesting sort of turning point here for the administration that was very critical of what Trump was doing there. Also want to talk about China, something that was also high on Trump's radar. China's new foreign minister, though, is sending a stark warning now to the U.S. What's happening there? Yeah,
this was a new minister, foreign minister taking office, who gave a long press conference yesterday and said the U.S.-China relationship is breaking off through the guardrails. So very strong language here. Now, this is it is true that U.S.-China relations are becoming much tenser. And there's also a rhetorical war with each side trying to describe what's going on. So a couple of the things Biden administration is doing, very tough new export controls on technology, U.S. technology going to China, basically meant to block advanced semiconductors from going into China, semiconductors that could be used for weapons. At the same time, China has allied itself more closely with Russia, which, of course, is waging that war in Ukraine. And there has been some concern that China may actually begin to send Russia weapons that it could use in that war. So clearly, the United States and China are facing off against each other more than they have. Now, at the same time, I would point out that trade between the two countries is still huge. We are almost back to record levels of trade between the United States and China. So the goods are still flowing. That has not been disrupted, but the talk is getting a lot angrier and more tense. So there's a lot to watch here.
Exactly. We're keeping an eye on sort of the domino effects from that. But as you mentioned, though, trade's still strong between the two world's biggest economies. Thanks so much, Rick Newman, there for us.